Hello, friends. We've got another fire built tonight. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to get together like this. But with the rain coming down like it's been lately, it's hard to get a good fire going. When we last left Robin Hood and his merry band, I told you that tonight we were going to be talking about Maid Marian. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Chapter 3, Maid Marian and the Shadows of Sherwood. Some call her a lady, others call her a thief, but in the shadows of Sherwood Forest, she is something else entirely. This is a story of Maid Marian and the night the sheriff nearly caught her. Hooves rattled through the still morning air as birds sang softly in Sherwood Forest. A thin boy, no older than 12, rode through the morning mist on a ragged pony. His clothes were soot-stained, his eyes wide with fear. Sentries had summoned Marian in the early morning hours, and she walked quickly toward the weary messenger at the outer edge of Sherwood, where the old Roman road met the woods. She kneeled as he slid from the saddle, nearly collapsing. "They came at night, the sheriff's men, the orphanage. They took the food, the blankets, even the pots. They said we owed taxes, but we didn't have anything." He coughed hard. Marian steadied him with a gentle arm. "Easy now, you're safe here. What of the others?" "Sick, cold. The little ones cry all night. No one comes. No one dares. Especially after the fire. The fire that took the barn." He clutched at her sleeve. I thought that Robin Hood might." Marian's expression darkened. "Robin Hood will come. I swear it. Help will come." But in her heart she knew something the boy didn't. Robin wouldn't make it this time. Robin was not here. So she would go. The late summer sun filtered through the ancient boughs of Sherwood Forest, casting golden speckles on the soft earth below. The forest hummed with bird song and the rustling of leaves in the breeze, but at the heart of the glade, the mood was anything but peaceful. Maid Marian tightened the saddle straps on her chestnut mare and slung a small bundle of supplies over her shoulder. Her green cloak fluttered behind her as she moved with purpose. "Are you sure you don't want to wait for Robin?" asked Little John, his deep voice edged with concern as he leaned against an ash tree, his long staff resting at his side. Marian shot him a glance, determined and fierce. She said nothing as she cinched a bag tightly against the saddle. "We're walking into a trap," he said, much more calmly than he felt. Marian threw the bag on the ground, exasperated. "Not walking, running, fast. Every moment we wait, children go without bread. And Robin's off chasing rumors of a tax caravan. So this is our errand, not his." Little John sighed, scratching his bearded chin. "You'll get no argument from me, my lady. Just don't get any clever ideas about outfoxing the sheriff again. Not after you cracked the prince's nose and nicked his crown." Marian grinned, the memory flashing in her eyes. Oh, that crown never suited him. Too heavy for his hollow head. Much the miller's son chuckled nervously from the other side of the clearing as he double-checked the bundle of cheese, bread, and medicine strapped to his mule. "I'd just like not to get shot today," he muttered. Will Scarlet adjusted his scabbard with flair. "Stick with Marian and we'll be fine. She's got eyes like a hawk and feet like a deer." Marian had chosen her companions carefully for this task. Little John, strong, brave, and confident. Much, who always knew the quickest way through bramble and brush. Will, who was the greatest swordsman in the land and who always knew how to smell out a trap. Tom of the Ash, their quietest tracker, who could move like a shadow. And the young orphan boy, desperate for his home, and the possessor of vital knowledge about the orphanage and the grounds around it. Marian led the 5 companions toward the edge of Sherwood. They were headed to the Fernbank orphanage, just outside Nottingham. Marion felt a tinge of doubt as the safety of the trees gave way to open space. Did she have it in her to make this journey? Could she lead her companions safely? Half a mile out, as they crossed a mossy glen, Marion slowed. Something was wrong. The road was without one fresh hoofprint or wagon rut. The open field to her right, normally filled with wildlife, was quiet and empty. Her gaze swept the trees ahead, looking for anything unusual. And then she saw it, right where she expected it to be. Something glinted, just for a moment, a flash of metal behind a bramble-covered hill. She dropped her glove to the ground and reined in her horse, feigning a move to dismount. It was a signal, and the group froze. "What is it?" whispered Will, already reaching for his sword. "No one makes any sudden movements." "Helmets," Marion murmured. "North slope, 5 of them." Little John peered toward the hill and swore under his breath. "An ambush." Marion's mind raced. "The sheriff expects Robin. He set this trap to draw him out." Much looked pale. "But we're not Robin." "That won't matter to the sheriff," she said grimly. "He'll take any excuse to drag us in. Or worse. We can't let the supplies fall into his hands." "We could turn back," Will offered. Marion shook her head. "The children still need help. We take the long way round, through the old deer trail near Black Hollow." Little John groaned. "That path's more thorns than trail, and no less haunted than a widow's attic." "Better haunted than hanged," Marion replied, turning her horse toward the shadowy trail. Meanwhile, atop the small ridge, the sheriff of Nottingham crouched beside his captain, peering down the glade with narrowed eyes. "They've stopped, sir," a soldier hoarsely whispered. "Curse them," said the sheriff. "They must have caught wind of us." As he watched the 6 horses mailed back into the trees, he earnestly searched the faint faces. "Where is he?" the sheriff growled, gripping the hilt of his sword. "This was meant for Robin Hood. He always bites when the bait is children." The captain shifted uneasily. "It's the woman, sir, Maid Marian, and she's not alone. That big brute looks like the one they call Little John." The sheriff's eyes gleamed. "Oh, delightful. The prince will be very interested in this. You know she cracked his royal nose and made off with his crown like a pickpocket at a wedding. And Little John is Robin's right-hand man. We will catch them all right, and when we do, Robin will come running." He turned to his men. "Mount up, boys. When we reach the trees, fan out. Drive them deeper into the forest. Let them feel hunted. We will trap them along Gravestone Ridge, just like we planned." Marion and her companions twisted and turned through the narrow deer trail, the trees thickening, the sky barely visible above. For a moment it seemed they might have been able to get off the road before the sheriff's men spotted them. They heard no sound, except for the rustling of leaves and the sound of birds. Then suddenly, a horn sounded behind them, followed by the shouts of over a dozen men. Their hearts had sunk when they realized they were being pursued. The distant horn echoed every few minutes, signaling the sheriff's men were closing in. Branches snagged at their cloaks, thorns tore at their boots, but Marion pressed on, guiding them with a hunter's instinct. The sun dipped lower, and the shadows grew long and ominous. At last they emerged in a clearing carpeted in ferns, where a small stream trickled between mossy stones. "We'll rest here," she said, "but not long." Much dropped to his knees beside the stream, gulping water. "They're everywhere," he gasped, "like wolves in armor." Will knelt beside him, checking the arrows in his quiver. "They're hurting us, pushing us deeper into the woods." Little John leaned against a tree, his staff across his lap. "We're not lost yet. Marion, what's the plan?" But Marion didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on something across the stream, faint prints in the mud, leading away into even thicker woods. "They're driving us toward the ravine," she said quietly. "It's a dead end." Will's face paled. "We'll be trapped." "Yes," said Marion. "Exactly what they want." "They're getting smarter," said Little John. "In the past, they would have been stymied by the trees and the streams of Sherwood. This time, they had a plan for what to do if we should duck back into the trees." Just then, a horn blew, much closer this time. The horses neighed and stamped nervously. Little John rose, gripping his staff. "We stand here, we're done for." Marion took a deep breath. "Then we don't stand, we move. Follow the stream up the ridge. There's a cave system above the falls. If we can reach it, we can hide." They moved quickly, ducking branches and leaping roots. The sheriff's men were close now. They could hear them calling to each other. The ridge grew steeper, too steep for their horses. Grabbing as many supplies as they dared, they reluctantly parted with their mounts. The horses were raised in the forest and would have no trouble making their way back to the camp. Marion cringed as she considered the look on Friar Tuck's face when the 6 horses came back riderless. But there was nothing to do but to keep pressing forward. As the ridge started to crest, the orphan boy struggled to keep up. Will grabbed his arm, pulling him along. They were almost to the caves, almost to freedom, when suddenly a figure stepped into the path above them. The sheriff. Clad in black and red, his armor gleamed despite the forest shadows. Behind him, 6 soldiers raised crossbows. "Ah, Maid Marian," the sheriff said smoothly. "Running is very unladylike." Marian stepped in front of the others, her hand on the hilt of her dagger. "I see the fire at the orphanage was no accident," the sheriff grinned. "I do love bait that wriggles." Little John growled, stepping forward, but Marian held out a hand. "Let them go," she said. "It's me you want." "Tempting," the sheriff said, circling her slowly. "But the prince wants you all in chains. Robin will trade half of Sherwood to get you back. Or perhaps he'll be too late." He raised a hand, and his men raised their crossbows toward the green-clad merry band. Then suddenly, an arrow whistled through the trees. It struck the ground, inches from the sheriff's foot. Another followed, catching the shoulder of one of the guards. Chaos erupted. The soldiers ducked, trying to spot the source, but the force was too thick, too dark. Unfamiliar with the terrain, one soldier tripped and fell head over heels toward the stream at the bottom of the ravine. "Into the trees!" Marion shouted. The group scattered, diving behind rocks and logs as arrows rained from above. The sheriff roared with frustration. Marion ducked behind a mossy boulder, heart pounding. Somewhere in the trees, someone had come to their rescue. But who? Was it Robin? She heard the sheriff bellowing orders to his men. The solid twang of crossbows firing melded with the quieter whooshing of arrows, and another cry of pain sounded as one of the soldiers fell to the mysterious archer, or archers. It was hard to tell. "This is our chance," Maid Marian shouted. "Press the attack while they're distracted. Show them what the merry band is made of." Little John grabbed a limb as large as a small tree and flung it down toward a soldier who was foolish enough to be caught staring into the dark forest. A cry of pain and terror escaped his lips as he crashed down into a pile of rocks and lay silent. Much, Will, and Tom aimed their bows toward where the soldiers had taken cover, and soon arrows fletched with white feathers created a hedgehog effect on moss-covered trees as red-tunicked soldiers crouched lower and lower. Marian grabbed the orphan boy and covered his shaking body with her own as she drew her bow, searching for the glint of armor in the waning light. Then a voice, not Robin's, but calm, fierce, and unfamiliar, sounded right behind them. "Sherwood watches its own. Come with me now." Marian's eyes widened as she turned to find the source of the voice. A new player had entered the game. The fire's dying low, and it's time for us to go to bed. But we'll be back next week to find out who this new stranger is and what happens to Maid Marian. Good night, friend.